Hello, my name is Paul Labonne. I'm a PhD student at ESCO and King's College London. In this short video, I'm going to take you through this poster, which showcases the work that Martin Emweil and I have been doing on nowcasting GDP in the UK using value-added tax returns. And here specifically, we focus on the fact that these returns are very noisy. They are subject to very large measurement errors, and they are revised over time. The current measure of output in the UK, which is the first estimate of GDP, is calculated by the ONS using a monthly business survey, the MBS. And this work, we investigate what we will get using the value-added tax returns. There are mainly three problems to solve. The first one is that the VAT returns are rolling quarterly, whereas the ONS currently publishes monthly GDP. The second problem is the timeliness. The VAT data are revised over time, and they are 6 weeks after the end of the reference period, which is the time at which ONS publishes monthly GDP. We have only access to a small share of the firms, so we need to forecast what we will get using the complete data, but only 6 weeks or 2 months after the end of the reference period. So it's a forecasting problem. The third problem is the fact that the VAT returns are very noisy. They are subject to very large measurement errors, actually extreme observations, which is really the most prominent issue here. So in this project, we tackled these three aspects of the data. The temporal disaggregation issue, so finding the monthly pass in the data using the rolling quarterly figures. This we've tackled, or we've done it already with Martin in an earlier work. And in this project, we focus on the other two aspects, which is the forecasting, nowcasting, and the cleaning. So for cleaning, for the temporal disaggregation, we have used the state space approach and unobserved components, which are used to model the seasonality in the data, the measurement errors, and the trends, and potentially biases as well. So this model is easily extended for nowcasting because we can model successive releases of the data over time. So this state space method lends themselves quite naturally to this type of extension. But for cleaning, we compare two methods. The first one is the typical approach using state space method. It consists of analyzing the outlying observations and disregarding analyzing the standardized residuals, and disregarding those that are outlying. So we do this in figure 1. It's an illustration of what we get using one industry. So for instance, we will detect 3 outliers. These outliers are replaced by missing values, and the model is estimated again until no outliers are detected. But the interesting thing here is that the standardized prediction errors, which should be normally distributed, it's the assumption on which relies the state space estimation. They are clearly not normally distributed. So the skewness and kurtosis statistics reject the hypothesis of normality. So the data show clear sign of non-normality. And so in a second cleaning approach, which we compare to this one, we use a score-driven method. So the score-driven approach is interesting. It's very similar to state space method, but the prediction error can rise from any type of family. So we set a predictive model for each of the VAT releases. AT will include, the model will take into account the seasonality, the trend in the data, potential biases, and so on. But the prediction error then can arise from any type of family. And here we use a asymmetric student t distribution for the prediction error. The interesting thing with this distribution is that the tails don't have to have the same rate of decay. So we can have a fat tails for the positive observations, but not necessarily for the negative observations. And that's very interesting for the VAT data, because outlying observations, they tend to be most of the time positive, but not negative. So we have this asymmetry, and using this distribution, we can capture it. So in figure 2, I'm illustrating the score-driven approach. The original data are shown in panel A. We can see that there are clearly some very outlying observations, we can't get much sense of the data using the original figures. But then using the score-driven approach, we get a much better sense of the data. And here I'm showing 11 successive releases of the data. I'm not showing what we get using the t-test approach for cleaning just because we don't have much space. But what we do then after, once we clean the data, is that we model 11 releases of the data together, which allows us to account for the revisions across these releases and potential biases as well. We use a covariate as well, which is the monthly business survey for large firms, because we only use the VAT data for small and medium-sized firms. There is no benefit in using the VAT data for large firms because the MBS for this type of businesses is a census, so there is no benefit. In order to know what the model will have performed, how the model will have performed in real time, we perform a real-time estimation where at each step of the estimation, we use data which would have been available at the time. So as we go along the real-time estimation, more figures are available, more data are available. And then we can analyze how the estimates are revised over time. So in table 2, I'm showing the mean absolute revisions across each of these releases. So 1 month, the first release compared to the last, we compare it to the last estimate. There's a mean absolute revision of about 1.3%, which is reasonable. And then these revisions then decrease over time as we get more data. The interesting thing here is that the score-driven approach, the t-test, performs better. The nowcast that we get when we clean the data using score-driven method works better than what we get using the t-test approach. And it also works better than the average of the two approaches. Because here eventually, I mean, the revisions, in terms of the revisions are smaller using the score-driven approach. The thing is that we cannot really compare the cleaning method to the underlying true figures. We cannot, because we never observe the true VAT data, so it's difficult to rank the two cleaning approaches. So in this situation, it's good to then use an average because there is significant uncertainty regarding the best approach. But here we show that the average of the two methods do not perform better than the score-driven approach. So the score-driven approach is our preferred strategy because it leads to less revisions. Then I'm showing in figure 4 the estimates that we get in the onset of the coronavirus pandemic. So the restriction started to kick in March 2020, and we can see that using the VAT data, we get a drop of about 5% compared to what the MBS, which is the current measure of output, we get shows a reduction of 10%, which is then larger, but we still get a significant drop using the VAT data. Then in April, we still get a drop again with the VAT data, not as much as what we get with the MBS, but we can still get a timely signal, which will indicate a recession. Then there is improvement concerning the VAT data because at the moment we use only monthly figures, but we could make use of the weekly feed because ONS have access to a weekly feed now in order to improve the model. But we still get a timely indication of the drop in the activity using the VAT data, which is interesting considering the significant amount of measurement errors which they contain. So in this video, I've been quite brief regarding the model and the results, but if you have more questions, if you would like to know more about the temporal disaggregation approach or the score-driven approach or the specificity of the nowcasting model, then feel free to get in touch. Thank you very much.